Right now on 10 News at 11.
Oh my God, there's a shooting.
Armed with an assault weapon and firing at the CHP.
3 officers hit in Riverside, at least 1 killed tonight in a tragedy that has shaken law enforcement to its core.
10 News begins with breaking news.
Ambushed by a madman with an assault rifle. 3 CHP officers gunned down. At least 1 lost his life in Riverside.
Within the past hour, our ABC affiliate in LA identified the shooter as Aaron Luther. We have team coverage tonight, beginning with 10 News reporter Travis Rice. He is live in Riverside. And Travis, you just learned what happened in the moments before Luther began shooting.
Yeah, Riverside police say that as the CHP officer was filling out paperwork and also calling for a tow truck, the suspect went to the back of his car, grabbed a rifle and started shooting.
38 shots fired.
A traffic stop turned highway gun battle in Riverside County. At least 1 CHP officer is dead, as well as the gunman. 2 more highway patrol members were shot. The shooting happened near the East Ridge Avenue off-ramp near the 215 freeway in Moreno Valley. Riverside police say a CHP officer pulled over the suspect, who then pulled out an assault rifle and began shooting at the officers. Terrified commuters captured the shootout between officers and the suspect passing by. Video shows the moments as 2 of the officers were loaded into the back of a helicopter and squad car, respectively, before being rushed to the hospital.
I just don't understand.
Debbie Howard is the stepmother of the highway patrolman who was killed Monday evening. She says she texted him when she saw the squad cars fly by.
Like, Junior, you're okay? I'm worried about you. Give me a call. And next thing you know...
She says his dream was to be a highway patrol officer, and she can't imagine worse news.
His other brother, Corey, he's trying to be a CHP officer, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
The freeway exit here where this happened is still closed, going on 5 hours now. This is a pretty sizable crime scene, and officials say they will be releasing more details about the suspect tomorrow. It's worth noting that the 2 other CHP officers that were shot were transported with minor and serious injuries, respectively. 2 other civilians were injured, but officials add that they were likely injured by debris or shrapnel and not gunfire. Live in Moreno Valley, Travis Rice, 10 News.
And right now, dozens of CHP officers and law enforcement from different agencies are preparing to escort their fallen brother from the hospital. The procession will have hundreds of patrol bikes and cars, all side by side, flashing blue and red lights. It's an impressive but tragic and overwhelming sight to see. The officer's body will head to the Riverside Coroner's Office.
We ran the background of the shooter, Aaron Luther. He was 49 years old, a father of 2 from Beaumont, and he has a long criminal history, including violent crimes. Some of his charges involve domestic violence on a spouse or a partner.
And we took what we know about this shooting to law enforcement experts tonight.
Our 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena is here now with the increased dangers these officers face every time they're out there.
That is evident, as we saw tonight. Kevin LaChapelle was a police officer for years and knows very well what may have been going through those officers' minds today as those shots rang out.
Cell phone video from witnesses captures not just seconds, but minutes of shots being fired. Kevin LaChapelle, a retired officer, says from what he's been able to see, those CHP officers were ambushed.
Very scary to be a police officer in these days. You never know what you're going to encounter, and you never know what the motives or intent is of those that you are encountering.
As we replay the moments over and over again, able to analyze every move, LaChapelle says it's important to remember how quickly it happens for those in the line of fire.
They have seconds to make these decisions, pure seconds, and if they make the wrong one, they pay the most precious sacrifice, and that's their life.
We have gotten a look at what's believed to be the suspect's weapon, lying on the sidewalk in the crime scene.
And it definitely looked like a .223 or, it's definitely an assault type weapon. I doubt it's something like a .22, not with the way that those rounds looked through the back windows of those patrol vehicles.
And at the hospital, a green tarp covering a patrol car used to rush one of the officers there.
Everything is a crime scene right now, so they're going to do everything to preserve it and to make sure that they get every piece of evidence that they're looking for.
Now, although we know dozens of rounds were fired and multiple law enforcement agencies were involved, it is still unclear whose gunfire killed that suspect. In the studio, Lindsay Pena, 10 News.
And Lindsay, we want to go now to breaking news. This is the Riverside University Health System Medical Center, where the procession has just started. The body of the fallen officer will be taken to the coroner's office. And you see not only the patrol cars, but all of those motor officers. They came from all over the state tonight in different departments to show their solidarity for their fallen brother in the CHP. He was riding a motorcycle at the time today, this afternoon, about 5:30, when he did make a traffic stop on the 215. He was going to impound the vehicle of who we now believe is the killer. And he is Aaron Luther, identified by KABC this evening while he was writing up the papers to have the car impounded and the tow truck to come. Apparently, that is when the killer got in his car, got what is being described as an assault-style rifle, and shot that officer and 2 others who were in the hospital. We will continue with this story. It is developing by the minute. We will have another live report from the scene coming up in just 9 minutes.
In the meantime, today, investigators are working to identify 3 young people found dead in the trunk of a car in Bay Terraces Sunday. Now, police found the bodies of 2 women and a man after a neighbor reported a suspicious car that's been parked on the street for days. The medical examiner will determine how they died and work to identify them.
Once the police were here and we're kind of looking to see like what was going on, you could see like, you know, the car and sort of like what looked like blood dripping from it. This is surreal, you know. I felt really bad for whomever was actually in the car. Once I found out that they were like teenagers, I felt really bad because I have teens myself.
Neighbors say that car looked like a gray BMW with out-of-state plates.
Our youth are not violent. They've been affected by violence.
Well, amid the gang violence, local leaders are calling for more resources to prevent shootings. 10 News reporter Matt Boone is joining us now live with the efforts currently being made to curb the violence and what still needs to be done. Matt?
Kim, obviously the goal is to try and stop it before it ever happens, which requires a lot of resources, organization, and money. But there are people out there trying to do that.
We can stop this, that we can save lives. We can save these young people from being injured and traumatized and so on.
When the violence heats up, Pastor Cornelius Bowser is one of the first people to step in.
And then we will be able to dispatch our teams and so on to the crime scene, to the hospital, and in the community, try to de-escalate or find out what's going on, to get a handle on some things and try to bring the violence down and calm tensions in the community.
As a former gang member himself, Bowser understands the underlying cycle.
Our youth are not violent. They've been affected by violence.
So when he hears about a shootout like the one on Sunday night in Lincoln Park, where more than 20 rounds were fired and 4 men went to the hospital, or the shooting Monday morning in Barrio Logan, where a 17-year-old was shot by a man who jumped out of a car and opened fire, he feels compelled to act.
We need more for our youth to do today, and more education for them.
So that's what he's been trying to do, recently getting a grant from the state for a youth mentoring program. He's also been trying to get the city to adopt a program known as Summer Night Lights.
From 7 p.m. to 12 midnight, from Wednesday to Saturday, we would have events for the whole family.
That hasn't happened yet. Instead, there are few options for teens and young adults at night, which he says is a recipe for violence.
This is another shooting, another violent incident that could have been prevented if we had the proper resources.
As for the 5 people who were hit in those 2 shootings, the latest update from police is that all of them have survived, but so far no arrests have been made. Reporting live tonight, Matt Boone, 10 News.
Yeah, thank you. One of Jeffrey Epstein's guards the night that he hanged himself reportedly wasn't a correctional officer at all. The Associated Press reports the guard was just a fill-in who was pressed into working because of staffing shortfalls at the prison. Earlier today, U.S. Attorney General William Barr said that he was appalled by the failure of the jail staff. Guards at the Correctional Center broke protocol by not checking on him every 30 minutes. The Attorney General is also promising Epstein's accusers that his death is not the end of this investigation.
Any co-conspirators should not rest easy. The victims deserve justice, and they will get it.
Epstein was awaiting trial for sex trafficking minors and was facing life in prison.
I'm 10 News reporter John Horn. Suspected Poway synagogue shooter John Earnest did not have a valid hunting license when he purchased the firearm used in the attack. At 19, Earnest would otherwise be too young to buy a gun in California, where the age limit is 21. One exception for those with valid state-issued hunting licenses. State Senator Anthony Portantino tells 10 News he's confirmed with the Justice Department and Fish and Wildlife that Earnest did not have the license. Portantino says he doesn't know how Earnest got the gun. Still, he says he plans to move to eliminate the exception for assault weapons for hunters under 21, which Governor Gavin Newsom appears to support.
I mean, if you can't even get a drink in a bar, enough said.
The legislative session ends September 13th. John Horn, 10 News.